Hello, everyone. I'd like to give a heartfelt thank you to our sponsor, Dr. Bradley Nelson, New York Times bestselling author of The Emotion Code and The Body Code. Dr. Nelson's work has helped people transform their lives worldwide, and we are grateful for his support in today's episode. Now, today on The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi, I am so thrilled to welcome Kathryn Krick, a minister, speaker, and faith leader who empowers people to pursue God-given dreams with boldness and grace. And you can learn more about her on her website, and it's the Apostle Kathryn Krick.com. And she's going to tell you how to spell that at the end so you can learn where to go and find out more about her. Now, Kathryn, welcome to the show. And could you tell everybody, say hello and tell everybody a little about yourself and what brought you to this point in your life?
Yes, absolutely. So I am so blessed to be here. And I originally am from upstate New York. I am now in LA and I moved to LA away from all of my family who's on the East Coast in 2013, originally to pursue acting. I then was pursuing shortly after music. I thought I had finally found my calling, which I thought was to be a singer-songwriter, Christian pop EDM singer-songwriter. And God had other plans because as I was pursuing that, putting out singles and music videos, I received a word from God through a minister that I was called to be a minister, specifically an apostle. And I was called to reach the nations. And he saw God doing miracles through me. And I didn't want that. Public speaking was my biggest fear and weakness. I wanted to be a singer. But I had this knowing that it was God truly speaking, and I wanted to be in God's will more than anything else. So I simply obeyed that word and put aside my pursuit of music
Mhm.
and started doing what God was calling me to do, to minister. And I started a church in 2017.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, what was the original vision in on your heart, and how did you know it was more than just a good idea?
So, when I heard that word from God coming through the minister that I am called to be a minister, an apostle, a pastor, um, I immediately was reminded of a story in the Bible of Moses. And Moses was called by God. God spoke through a burning bush.
Wow.
And God was calling Moses to be a leader of millions of God's people and to be a mouthpiece of God. But Moses had a stutter. Moses couldn't speak well. And so Moses starts to question God. And I had that same feeling in that moment. So I related to Moses. But what happened was God said to Moses, I made your mouth. I will give you the words to speak. Just trust me, just obey me. So God in that moment really spoke that to my heart. And I had this knowing that I can trust God. I don't know how this is going to happen. I cannot picture me being a minister, me speaking in front of people. As I shared, public speaking was my biggest fear and weakness. And I love to go to church and listen to sermons, but not one time did I imagine myself ever being able to preach or that was something I was called to. So I couldn't see how this could happen, but I had that blind faith. I just knew I had to trust God. So I thought that, once I started the church, it was going to grow year by year because this was God's calling for my life. I thought, I would see this like success, even though I didn't feel capable.
Yeah.
But actually, I went through quite the obstacles, quite the trials. The first year that I started the church, there was about 20 people that attended. And the next year there was 15. And the next year there was 10. And the next year there was 5. So literally every year we decreased. And then that year we were about 5 people in the church. It was 2020. So COVID hit. And then
Mhm.
we were no longer able to have church in the building. And So then we had to go outside. I started having church services outside, and sometimes there was just two of us, my best friend, and she sings worship. Her and I, it was sometimes just the two of us. I remember one time preaching to somebody, September 2021, or I'm sorry, September 2020. I remember preaching to one person in the park, in the amphitheater. It was 100 something degrees outside. And as I was speaking, she left in the middle of the message. And so we had the live stream going. There was probably between 0 and 5 people watching, but I just turned to the live stream and I just kept speaking to the live stream. But something I also want to mention is that the same minister, he's a prophet who spoke my calling over my life. He also had this word from God that revival was going to break out in America. It was going to break out in my city of LA and spread across the world. And revival meaning many people being touched by God, being healed, being delivered, and being saved. And so I had so much expectancy every day, every week, every year that we were going to see revival. That I just felt so strongly it was going to happen now, any second now. And 4 years later, it looked like the opposite. So I knew that I had to just keep going. I knew that God had spoken and he is faithful and I could trust him. I knew all the stories in the Bible, and not just that, but just anybody's stories of success. Like before there was success, before the dream was accomplished, or was before the dream they saw come to pass, they have gone through a lot of obstacles. They have gone through a lot of moments where they might have been tempted to give up, and a lot of people would have given up.
Right.
Every single person who's ever seen their dream come to pass, it never comes easy. So I reminded myself of that, of these stories in the Bible. There's so many people in the Bible where this is their story, where they went through so much, so many obstacles, but they kept persevering, they kept believing. And also even just people in the world, people like my mentor, he went through so much too, to see finally dreams come to pass. He persevered. So I just encouraged myself in God. I just kept rejecting all of the negative thoughts in my mind that would say, you're not good enough.
Right.
You know, you're not a good speaker. Look at all these other people online. You can't even compare to them. So that's why the church isn't growing. That's why people aren't staying, because you're not good enough. I would have those thoughts so often, like every single time I went up to speak. But
Yeah.
I knew they were lies. Like I knew that I was called to do this, even though I felt so inadequate, even though I couldn't see it personally, but it was faith that I had. It was faith that I had that this was why I was put on this earth, and I must just keep going. So, what happened was I kept going. I kept having the church services. We kept having them outside in the park. And actually, God had spoken to me that the way that this dream would come to pass, the way revival was going to break out, is through a 1-minute video. And so I knew God was leading me to post 1-minute videos on social media. I taught myself how to edit on iMovie because I didn't have people that could help me edit. So I started putting these videos out. They had hardly any views, any interaction, like just a few likes for years. And they weren't even increasing in views. Right. And, but I just kept going. I just kept going for literally about 3 years until one day I had this idea, this vision to put a video together that showed different moments where people were touched by God, where you could really see with your eyes, whoa, this is supernatural, and they are being touched, they're being blessed, and miracles were happening. And so I put together this video on December 30th, 2021. At this time, our church had like 3 to 5 people, depending on the day. And I put this video out, and a day and a half later, it was actually my 30th birthday, January 1st, 2021. And on that day, that video reached 1 million views.
Wow.
And the even greater miracle was that there was thousands of comments of people testifying that they received miracles as they were watching this video. That
Wow.
as they were watching, some people said, I had anxiety, but as I watched, I felt something leave me, and now I feel peace. Another person said, I had COVID symptoms, but as I watched this, they left. Another person said, I had pain in my body. As I watched this, it left. Another person says, I don't believe in God, but when I watched this, I felt power. And I was so shocked because I had never seen that happen through any of the videos I'd done. I've only seen one person testify that they experienced healing in their leg on one of my videos. And I had put out thousands of videos at this point, both live streams and small videos. So this was so shocking to me. This was the best birthday present I could ever imagine, literally on my birthday, that this happened. And this was really the breakthrough I had been believing in and dreaming of for 4 years at this point. And
Yeah.
really, it just opened up the floodgates from there. I immediately had a big social media following from that one video. And I would go live twice a week, and people would be testifying of miracles they would receive while watching, healing and freedom, just feeling touched by God. And this would happen every week. And then people started traveling a couple months later to my church service. And then people were being set free, free of anxiety, of depression, of addiction, of all sorts of things at the church service. And we would live stream it. We would post videos, and those videos would go so viral.
Yeah.
People could feel God as they watched. People could see, and they wanted that. They wanted that experience too. So
Yeah.
people started traveling from all over the place, all over the US at first. And then a couple months later, it was all over the world as
Wow.
of the summer 2021. So revival broke out. It happened, and that was 2021. And then I started traveling around the country that year, every single week, ministering and speaking at different events that people would invite me to speak at, and we would see so many people be touched, be healed, be delivered. In 2022, I started traveling to different nations to speak at events. And I went to 18 nations now since then to speak and minister. And we every single Sunday we have people traveling from around the world. We have people that are members of our church. We call it Planted, from actually 163 nations around the world. They're tuning in live. So it's so amazing. It's so special, like heaven on earth, to be together with so many people from around the world, so many cultures,
Mm-hmm.
so many different languages. We have different translations going on, but this is what's happening every week. We're having these services in person, but people are joining online and being touched. So hallelujah. That's a little bit of my story.
Wow, that is beautiful. Now, how do you discern between a divine opportunity and a distraction?
Um, oh wow, a divine opportunity or distraction. So yeah, I mean, not every door are you called to walk through. And so you have to be so wise, especially when you start shining.
Yeah.
Like the gifts in you are shining, and just how you've been transformed
Mhm.
to be a better person, to be more kind and loving. There's some people that may want to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
and there's some people that you are called to go through an open door. They open a door for you, you go there. There's some people you're called to invest in. There's some people to pour into.
Yeah.
And just because that's part of your calling on this earth, to bless others, to love others, to help others.
Yeah.
That's where you're called, but you have to discern what is really the wise decision that is going to be aligned with your calling and won't take away, won't drain you. Because as I say, the more you shine, the more you're thriving, the more that there is success that you have too,
Yeah.
there will be people that can have bad intentions and want to like take from you, not with a good intentions in a selfish way. So it's just so important to go slowly, like think things through, don't get starry-eyed about things, but really walk in that wisdom to really see motives of people and what won't take away from what you're already doing, because whatever you're called to do, you need to be energized and be full of strength so you can really shine there and thrive there. But if
Yeah,
you're pulled in all these different ways, you aren't gonna do your best.
exactly. Oh, that's so true. That's amazing. Now, what daily habits or different practices do you have, like prayer, planning, journaling, mentorship, that keeps you moving when progress felt slow for you?
Mm. Yeah, well, like in my story, in the story I just shared, it felt very slow for 4 something years.
Yeah.
But I remember I would always go on jogs. I would go on walks and I would go on jogs, and I would play I would play worship music. I would renew my mind. I would just get outside, get in nature, and
Yeah.
clear my mind and get focused on the truth when negative thoughts started to bombard me.
Yeah.
And I would just renew my mind and remember the faithfulness of God and remember the dream, God's dream, that dream that was put in my heart. And I would remember, like, it's not about the outward circumstances. You can't define your future with your outward circumstances. You can't let that define your progress,
Yeah.
because like how things work is sowing and reaping. Like you're if you think about a field,
Mhm.
it's just like dirt. It's
Yeah.
dirt, and then you start putting seeds in there of like trees, of fruit trees, of flowers, of all these plants.
Yeah.
But you put them in the ground and you see nothing when you put them in the ground. Like you bury them. Like it looks like nothing was done there. It's just this bare
Right.
field still.
Yeah.
And but then one day, all of a sudden, those trees, the fruits, the plants, the flowers, they burst out of the ground, and it's a shocking transformation. It's a suddenly moment. It's like, whoa, this is beautiful. Where did this come from? Well, it came from all of that sowing that you did. And so
Yeah.
that's how it is in life. There's a time of sowing and then there's a time of reaping. And
Right.
most people are not prepared for the sowing to take so long. Most
Yeah.
people are not prepared for that. And we get so excited. We're like, oh, I can't wait to see this dream come to pass. And we're just so focused on the excitement of it that sometimes we go on a cloud instead of staying in reality of like, hey, we got to put in the work. It's going to take time. That's okay. This is part of the process. But like, be prepared. It'll take some time. But it's powerful. Every seed you're sowing, you are moving forward every single day. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how it is. And that's exactly my story. Like my story that I just shared, it was planting, seeing no fruit come out of the ground. And then one day, boom, so much fruit that it was overwhelming and it was shocking. And this is a principle. This is a true principle. It's actually a biblical principle of sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
So you can know that whatever you sow, you will reap. That work can work in the bad kind of sowing and the good kind of sowing. But
Yeah.
when you're sowing in a good way, you're doing good things, you're doing good work that's aligning with your goal, with your dream, you can know that you will see fruit come. So
Yeah.
like I would just have to remind myself of this truth that things will happen suddenly sometime. It's gonna happen. It's gonna come. These seeds, they're not gonna disappear. They're
Yeah.
in the ground and they will come out and I will see them and eat the fruit.
And I think that's such a great point because so many people in our society expect quick results. We have developed, a society where everybody wants everything one, two, three, and it doesn't
Yes.
happen like that. Anything good takes time. And sometimes things just fall in our lap when we least expect it. And like just like the video, that 1 second video you did, things just happen sometimes. They're just meant to be at a certain time and a certain point in life. And for those people who are always like impatient and they want those quick results, what do you have to share with them that you want them to understand?
Mm. That, it is worth it to be patient and wait and work hard. It is worth it. Like, it's not fun. It's not fun. I don't think it's fun for anybody to wait.
Right.
I don't think it's not fun. But like, we got to accept this truth. We got to accept that things just don't happen like in a microwave fast. That's just not how life works.
Right.
And I want to say one thing that's worth it. It's not just worth it because like the dream when it comes is so great that it's worth it. That's true. That's true. But there's even more to that of why it's worth it. And that is the character that's produced in the waiting.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be impatient. That's not a good look. And that can get you into trouble.
Mhm.
No one wants to be selfish. That's not good. To have a good character, to be kind, to be patient, to be a person of faith, that is the most attractive. This is what's pleasing to God. This is what will bring true favor upon your life.
Exactly.
And so that's to me, that's the most valuable thing, is that I can be transformed as a person, that I can become the best person possible on this earth, that I can be a loving person, a kind person, a generous person, patient with others, that I would never harm someone, but I
Right.
could just only help someone. And so, you know, doing hard things produces fruits of character.
Hmm.
Having to wait, when you choose, because you can make that choice, when you choose to
Yeah.
wait, when you choose to be patient, yes, that's a choice. When you choose to not complain,
Right.
you just choose to keep going, keep working, and you choose to be grateful. You choose
Yes.
to count your blessings. When you do that, change will seriously come. It will inevitably come. Like, you
Yeah.
will literally become a naturally more patient person.
Right.
And it's like, I love to travel, and I've learned to really enjoy the journey. Like, I love the plane ride. I'm never feeling like, ugh, I wish I didn't have to get on this plane right now. I wish I could just be there. I've learned to love it. Like, looking out the plane window is so beautiful. Secondly, it's so peaceful. Like, it's quiet. Like, you don't have, sometimes not having cell phone service, is like a gift, because it's just everything's quiet. Nobody can bother you, right? It's
Yeah.
just a special time in the air. I actually wrote most of my first book in the air, and it
Hmm.
was so nice because there's just no distractions. I just would have to sit there the whole for hours. So I've learned to enjoy the journey. I've learned to see the beauty, but there's some people, they can't stand to fly. They don't even look out the window because they have anxiety. When turbulence hits, they feel nervous. And some people, they just feel nervous about what if there's delays, and the stress of traveling. But if you change your perspective, you can find beauty there, right?
Yeah.
And so I've really found beauty in traveling, in the flights. Like, I look forward to the flights. I'm not rushing to get there. And so really, that's how we should be in life. Like,
Yeah.
I went through those 4 years of like, I just want to get there. I just want to get there. I just want to get there. But when you think about it, like, why have that impatience? It's like when you're on an 8-hour flight, there's 8 hours. Relax, chill, like, enjoy it. Do
Right.
some fun things there. Enjoy the peace. Don't be like, man, I wish it could be 5 hours. I wish it could be 4 hours. You
Yeah.
can be
Exactly.
enjoying the flight. That's how life is. And I found that. And like, that's the one thing that if I could go back, I would do differently, is I
Yeah.
would like enjoy the journey more, because there's so many things in one season that you won't have in the next season. When a
Right.
dream comes to pass, or like when you have babies, for example, if you have children, you're not
Yeah.
going to have time for yourself that you did before. So before you have a baby, if that's what you're longing for, why don't you enjoy the things that you will miss when you have the baby, the time to yourself, the freedom of that?
Right.
So to wait doesn't have to be torture. It can actually be enjoyable if you'll really change your perspective.
Oh, I agree 100%. That's awesome. I love the way you worded that. Now, who are the key people that God brought alongside you, and how did you intentionally build that support circle?
Yeah, so the first one, the main one, is my mentor. And he is the one who spoke this word of God over my life. And then after he spoke that word of God over my life, that I was my calling, um, he became my mentor. And really, the things that I've gone through now, like in the story that I shared with you, and there's a lot about my story I haven't shared. Like there was just a lot of once things went viral and all these doors opened up for me for the ministry, there was it's just like anybody. I mean, the haters sprouted out from the woodwork, and the jealousy started coming at me, and people with evil intentions and people trying to stop me. Like all of those things just came out of nowhere. And it was shocking. It was a trial, but God helped me overcome all of that and have victory. But my mentor, he's gone through all these things. Like what I'm doing now, he has done and he is doing. He's he's been doing this for decades. What I'm doing now, ministering, and so he has gone before me and he knows the way, and he has so much wisdom. And
Yeah.
so, like, that's actually a big key of how I was able to persevere through those years where it felt like I was going backwards. We kept decreasing in numbers. His encouragement is strengthened me so much. And he just would guide me, would just give me wisdom of how to handle certain situations. And so, man, for like anything that I've like accomplished by God's grace, like I have to give thanks to him, to my mentor. His name's Prophet Dr. Davey.
Hmm.
Uh, so he's number one. And then also the I mentioned her earlier when there was just two of us sometimes in the park having the church services.
Yeah.
The second person is my best friend and also my mentee and assistant, and she wears many hats. But her name is Chantal, and she is amazing. Has such an amazing heart, and is just stuck by me when there was so many betrayals that I would go through. She would just stand by me, stand by me, stand by me, and she has such a precious defensive heart because of her beautiful heart for me and the work that I'm doing,
Yeah.
this work of God.
Oh, I love that. Now, what are the signs that tell you you're on the right path, even when the results aren't visible yet?
Mm. The signs. So, well, sometimes it's not really outwardly like, and that's
Mhm.
okay. Like for me, for those 4 years where I was going backwards, it felt like I was going backwards. I was going forwards in the spiritual realm. I was going forwards in the spiritual realm because like God needed me to go through these hard things because these became tests. These
Yeah.
became obstacles that I overcame. When I overcame them, it was like I was passing a test. And as I did that, the transformation came in me. The transform because to see the dream come to pass, you have to be a person that can handle that dream. To walk through that open door, you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, stand strong, and go through that door and keep standing when then hate comes at you because you were able to go through an open door. There will
Right.
always be haters that come when you're shining, when you have success. That will happen to every person. Somebody, many people will inevitably be jealous. And that is hard to take on. You have to have thick skin, you have to be strong, and you have to what you're doing, like for me it was following God and his calling on my life, but what you're doing has to matter more to you than anything else, than how people see you, than people's
Yeah.
opinions of you, than the lies about like what they're speaking about you. You have to care more about what you are doing, that you will not quit, that you will keep going no matter what, that you will go through the fire. You don't care. You don't care if it hurts sometimes. You must do what you were called to do. That has to be in your heart. And I noticed for me that the persevering, the keeping on going day after day, week after year after year, not seeing the outward results, but just keeping on going, it changed me. It made that dream, God's dream for my life, to be cemented in me. It really refined me. It got selfishness out of me, where I was just so laser focused on what God has called me to do. And so that's a big thing that's happening through the process. So you're not going to really see outward success lots of times. Yeah. Don't let that discourage you. Don't take that as a sign this is not working. The transformation in you is what is important. And many times you can see that transformation. Other times you might not see it. So what I would say is be careful to look for signs that you're on the right path. The greatest sign is just to know that you're doing whatever you're doing with the right motives. You're not doing selfishly. Those would be bad signs. So when that you're doing what you are called on this earth to do, and there's purpose there, and you're helping people, you're blessing people, or what you're working towards will inevitably bless people. That's a sign that you're headed in the right direction. But when you're doing things so selfishly and with wrong motives, to like get ahead at the expense of other people, step on other people or whatever, that's a sign you're going in the wrong direction.
Right. That's so true. Now, if you had to take today's conversation, you wanted to emphasize on a couple important factors, what are some things you'd like to emphasize on?
Yeah. Well, I would say what the dream that is in your heart, nobody has that dream but you.
Right.
No one does. And no one will get it. No one will understand it. Some will kind of understand, but no one has that dream that you have. And so you got to protect that. You need to protect what is in your heart. Yeah. And, don't like expose it to the wrong people, because other people will pick you apart. They will say, oh, it's not working. Oh, you're not good at this. This isn't going to work. You're wasting your time. And that can kill that dream. Your dream is like a baby in the womb. You have to protect it when it's in that process stage. So, don't just go through life and go through the motions, but you were put here for a purpose. So make sure you're not missing that. Make sure you're not getting distracted with other things. Make sure you're not just living to please others, but make sure that you are really doing what you were called to do on this earth. And I encourage you to seek God to find out what that purpose is, because he will never fail. And I'm so in awe of what has happened in my life, the blessings, the abundant life that has come when I put my full trust in him.
Yeah, I love it. Now, you've written 2 books. Can you tell us a little about each book and where people can find them?
Yes. So I have written a book, number 1, called The Secret of the Anointing. And in that book, I teach how to access the power of God to walk in miracles. When a person gives their life to Jesus, it is their calling to be a vessel of him, so that he can move in power through them and heal and deliver and touch other people. That's what I'm seeing happen in my life, in my ministry. And this isn't, a lot of people, they don't see this often. So they think it's just for one or a handful of people on this earth to have this special calling, but really, when you're a child of God, you are called to walk in miracles, to be a vessel of God in his fullness. And this is something that's being restored in revival now on this earth, is the power of God, the miracles, and also the revelations, the principles, the revelations, the understanding, the spiritual understanding of how to access God's power and walk in miracles. So that's what the first book is about. And the second book is called Unlock Your Deliverance. And I wrote this book for anyone who needs freedom. There's a lot of people who are in bondage. I know probably a lot of listeners may be right now. What bondage is, bondage from the enemy, from the devil, is these are the examples: addiction, depression, anxiety, tormenting negative thoughts like thoughts of death, like suicidal thoughts, panic attacks,
Mhm.
insomnia, tormenting dreams,
Yeah.
rage. It can also be division, like, you know, you have such problems in your marriage and you don't understand why because you really love your spouse, but it seems like there's this like force push, like supernatural force pushing you apart, which doesn't make sense. Like that can be oppression as well. Also, like things that you keep seeing happen in your family, generation to generation, a certain sickness, a certain problem, and sicknesses as well. So all of these things are actually spiritual, and other things like that you can seek help for all these things. It will only like be like putting a band-aid, but not
Yeah.
like covering it up, but not taking care of the root. But
Yeah.
the root is spiritual. And this is why we're seeing people travel from all over the world, because they're hearing testimonies and they're seeing these are real people that are really getting completely free of these things. And they
Yeah.
need that too, and they want that too. So in this book, I share the keys that unlock you from demonic oppression. So I shared the spiritual keys and principles, biblical principles of how to be set free from any kind of thing that's holding you back, from any kind of oppression in your life. So you can
Yeah.
find these books anywhere books are sold, like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, anywhere. Once again, it's The Secret of the Anointing
Mhm.
and Unlock Your Deliverance. And you could also go to my website, Apostle Kathryn, Kathryn, Krick, KRICK.com. And you can also go to 5fchurch.org. That's the name of my church. And you can find those resources there. I also have an e-course called Walking in Miracles that teaches you how to walk in miracles. And I also have free resources at unlockyourdeliverance.com. I have special videos that go along with that book. And on my YouTube page, which is Apostle Kathryn Krick, if you just search that on YouTube, you'll find it. There's almost 1 million subscribers there. That's how you'll know it's the real one, because of course there's impersonators out there. But on
Yeah.
my YouTube, I have so many different videos that can equip you, that can bless you, that can teach you how to have a relationship with God, that can teach you how to have victory over the enemy, that can teach you how to fulfill your purpose and more.
I love it. I love it. This is amazing. I thank you so much for coming on the show. You're just a truly amazing person. I'm so glad that you've had this experience and now that you're sharing it with so many millions of people. You know, people need to know that there is hope out there and that there is a God who loves them and that, you know, not to give up and not to have self-doubt and not to, you know, when you're going through addiction or you're going through depression, that, you know, you don't have to stay there. There is an answer. There is a way, you know, and, you know, I'm so glad there are people out like you out there that are giving people that hope and that strength that they need to move forward in life and not get stuck in these, you know, obstacles that, you know, sometimes enter our lives. So thank you so much for what you do and thank you for everything. You're just a remarkable person and I thank you so much for devoting your life to God and sharing it with the world. You're just a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you so much, Stacey. Your words touch me and bless me so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a blessing.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.